Welcome to this week's edition of the Don Cherry's Grapevine podcast. And Dad, kind of some sad news this week.
Yes, I tell you, one of the class guys, and that's what I use the word class when I think of him, Dale Hawerchuk. I give the goals, but I just like to, I wrote something down. I wrote down all the stuff, everything. Now, he played for the Cornwall Royals in the Quebec League, which sounds strange, Cornwall, Ontario, but that's how they get it. And 103 points he had his very first year. 183 points his second year. He won back-to-back Memorial Cups. I don't think anybody's done. I think
I think only two teams have done it since.
Yeah,
and that would have been like late 70s.
Yeah, and so
that shows you how tough it is to win back-to-back Memorial Cups.
Well, you get one. You usually get one. I won the Memorial Cup. You get one shot at it. Usually, you get one shot. A few other guys got a deal. Darcy Tucker, I think, won 3 or something like that. I forget what it was. Yeah, back-to-back Memorial Cup wins. Only two teams have done it since. Won Rookie of the Year, Quebec Rookie of the Year. He won 2 Memorial Cups, like I said. John Beliveau's trophy for the top scorer in the Q. They call it the Q, Quebec League. Player of the Year in the Q. Memorial Cup MVP, which is unbelievable. First overall, he was first.
And CHL Player of the Year.
Yeah, CHL Player of the Year. He was first overall by the Jets, Winnipeg Jets. He won Rookie of the Year that year. First season, he had he put up. I forget how many points. I mean, he had over 100.
He had over 100 points.
Oh, he had over 100 points. Rookie of the Year, 103 points next year. 91. You know, he got 91 the next year, and they said he had a bad year.
Yeah, you said that was kind of the Phil Esposito.
Yeah, Phil Esposito I remember Phil Esposito had 76 goals, and then he had 68 goals, and he said, well, Phil, you had a bad year. 68 goals, he had a bad year. Dale was...
well, I think the one thing that's pretty amazing, in his first 10 years in the NHL, he scored over 1,100 points. In 10 years.
Everybody liked him, too. Rookie of the Year, he had 103 points. I mean, it's unbelievable, what this guy had. The unfortunate thing is he came along at the wrong time. He came along when Gretzky was setting all the records and everything. First player to reach 1,000 points, career points, by the age of 31. I mean, I wrote all this stuff down, and it's...
I remember the one big thing, Dad, that we kind of remember. I mean, one of the most famous goals in Canadian history, of course, is the most famous is Henderson. But remember the 2-on-1 with Mario?
Oh yeah, Mario put it in the top corner.
Well, guess who took the draw?
Yeah, Dale took the draw, and going up there, I saw it on television. I didn't know this till I saw him hook the centerman. He was going to catch up, or he looked like he might have. He'd give him kind of a little hook just to hold him back. And he was player of the game. I didn't know that. You were told me he was the player of the game. I thought Mario, get the winning goal.
Get the winning goal. No, he was.
But everybody shows it. But Dale again, nobody knows about him being player of the game. Nobody knows that he got the draw. He was one of those guys. He was a class guy, and
he was a good coach in Barrie.
Yeah, I think he lost
the first. Everybody knows the first year. Coaching in the CHL is tough.
As I know better than anybody.
So he took Barrie when they were kind of down and out. And he only won 15 games his first year, but then he won 40 the next. Yeah. And then the next 5 seasons, they won like 40 games for the next 5 seasons.
He was a good coach. He would have been a good coach. He wanted to stay in junior. I saw an interview on TV with him, and he said he wanted to give back to the game. He was a class guy.
Yeah, and if you still want to support the family, check out Hawerchukstrong.com. We got a hat and we're getting a T-shirt and stuff. So
we got to get a hat, to wear.
Yeah, no, they've ordered. They're coming.
They're coming.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, anyhow, Dale Hawerchuk, and when I think of him, I think of class.
So, Dad, let's talk about mybookie.ag. You had a pretty good week.
Well, again, I'm jumping in here. I'm saying don't bet the way I bet. I bet with my heart. I wanted Vancouver to win, and I wanted Montreal to win because of Kirk and Richardson and all those guys and everything like that. And I won the one.
You bet in the Islander, you bet, and Washington didn't even show up that game.
Yeah, Washington. Was I lucky on that one? But the Islanders look pretty. They got that jump. They do. They really have that jump. That Barry Kratz has got them going. They got that jump. Still, go ahead, Tim.
So join today at my bookie. Will match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $1,000. That's doubling betting power. Just enter promo code Grapevine when you sign up. So they also have hockey. They got all the sports, and they even have a casino. So if you want your luck at blackjack, you got blackjack.
Well, Dad, you were one time in a really tense blackjack stakeholder in Vegas. So, Tim, you were there, Tim, weren't you? Why don't you tell us that story of poor Dad? I really felt for you, Dad.
I did. I remember after it was all over, that everybody went out for dinner, and I had to go to my room and put a cold compress on my head.
It was an unbelievable story. So tell us, Tim, because you were there.
Okay, so we were working with a company, and the promo that they were running was if you went to you could go to Vegas, and we're staying at the Mandalay Bay, and you were going to play one hand of blackjack. They were going to give you $25,000. So if you won. You
weren't giving me.
No, they weren't giving you. The person
winner.
The winner. The person who was going down was going to play one hand of blackjack, and they were giving the person $25,000 to bet. So if you won $50,000, and if you lost, you didn't get anything, right? So that was kind of the.
I didn't. I was just going down for a good.
So you were supposed to be down. You were supposed to be the emotional support.
I was supposed to be.
You weren't even supposed to play. You were the rah-rah.
Yeah, I was the rah-rah. You hope you win, and you figure anybody that wins would know blackjack.
How to play.
I mean, how to play.
Or to count.
Right.
Yeah.
So we go down, and we meet the concierge at the Mandalay Bay. And they said, well, it's $25,000, so we have to go to the high stakes room to play because they weren't allowed to put that much money on.
I didn't care.
So we're walking in, and there was this, I don't know, it was an Asian guy. I don't know if he's Chinese or Korean, and
they play big money.
And he had the whole high stake room to himself. So the lady walked up and said, "Can we play in another table, not interrupting you, in another table? Can we play? We're just going to play one hand for $25,000."
So I'd say it doesn't matter to me. I'm a rah-rah guy.
So the guy said, "No, get out." So now the lady said, on the Mandalay Bay said, "We can't bet $25,000 on the floor." But she says, what we can do is we can break that up in two, and we can play two hands for $12,500. So he said, okay, so we're going to do that. So we get there, and I remember the dealer, she was a good-looking, tall brunette, and she comes in, and she gives two stacks of $12,500.
So the person is there, and I figured if you're going to be there, you know how to play blackjack. Yeah. No idea how to play blackjack.
I remember she says, well, you got to play. You said, I'm not playing for it.
I'm just sitting, because if I lose...
It's her money.
It's her money. And if she loses everything and she goes back, did you win? No, Cherry lost all the money.
Absolutely. That's what she's going to say.
So you're trying to give her a quick, well, it's the closest thing to 21. She's, no, I don't know how to play. You play. No, you just get two cards. And no, I don't know how to play. Nope.
I want you to play for me.
So the dealer's looking at us.
She didn't say anything. She just automatically thought I was going to play for her.
I know. So the dealer's looking like a bunch two rubes from Canada.
Yeah. Are these the Canadians you were talking about?
Yeah, these are two jerks sitting there.
So I'm not playing. So you get mad, and I could see Dad's face your face was getting redder and redder, and you start breaking out into a sweat. So you said, "Fine, I'll play," and you're upset. So so Dad gets.
Remember, I said to you, I said, as long as I don't get 13 or 14 or something in there, because I'll hit again and I'll break, and she won't understand.
Right.
She'll look. So go ahead, Tim.
So, Dad gets a face card. That's good.
No, I'm happy.
So but the dealer gets a face card. Dad gets a 5, 15, the worst you can get. And the dealer's card's down. So you're sitting there, and if you know blackjack, statistically you're supposed to hit on 15 if there's a face card showing. And I remember, Dad, the sweat was coming up, and you're going, what do I do? And I said, well, the odds are, Dad, you're supposed to hit. So then what did you say?
I forget what I said.
But you said, I'm not busting.
I'm not if I bust and she goes back to Winnipeg and says, Cherry lost me all the money. So I'm not busting.
So you said, I'm not busting. She can beat me. The dealer will beat me, but I'm not.
You'd rather get beat by the dealer than bust.
Well, I don't want to. If I get a face card 10 or an 8 or something, and she doesn't understand, they take all her cards, they take all her money.
That's right.
And I'm the bad guy.
So Dad holds. So I hold. And the dealer looks, you're holding on 15? Yeah, I'm holding on 15. So she flips it over. I think she had like a 16, and she busts.
And she had to hit.
Oh, thank goodness.
So you win $12,500. So now she says, okay, put up. Remember, she says, you need to put up another. So there's just confusion, and the lady's going out what's going on. She's grabbing the chips. And
she has no idea what's going on. Now we're playing for the second hand,
yeah,
right?
the second 12.50.
Now she's looking in her purse. I don't have 12. No, you don't. I'm trying to explain to her.
She says, I don't have $12,500 cash. Well, no, the chips are the thing.
And I'm trying to explain. And this dealer is looking at us like two roofs.
And we don't want to be condescending because it is a woman, right?
Well, I don't know about that, but she's looking at us as if we're.
But you did tell her to shut up.
I just sit there.
You said shut up.
Did I?
Yep. You said just shut up and sit there.
Oh,
and
I must have been really.
Your face was
what
just.
What year was this?
So you just, as they say, now you're sweating. You got your collar.
I'm sweating just hearing the story.
So now we bet. So Dad's just, I just hope I don't, So we get Dad gets second one. Dad gets a face card. Dealer gets a face card. I think this time you got like 14.
14 was even worse.
So, and then she face cards, turned down. So I said, what do you do, Dad? And he goes, you said the same thing, right?
I'm not breaking.
No, I'm not breaking. You're just like that.
And she knows I got 14.
So the dealer goes, what do you want? Dad goes, I'll hold. She says, you're going to hold on 14? And Dad goes, yeah. And
I'm not breaking.
And guess what happened? The dealer broke. She had 16, had to make a hit, and she won. So
she won 50 grand.
50,000 US.
And she doesn't know, US, she has no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Right, eh? When she wins the 50 grand, she's still looking in her purse
to see if she has enough to bet.
But tell the best part when you guys walked away.
Oh yeah,
the piece of the resistance. Who had to tip her?
Tim said you better go back and tip the.
I said she's kind of looking at us, right? And the dealer busts on two-handle win 50 grand, and nobody's tipping her.
Yeah.
So I said, Dad, you think you can get $100 and tip the dealer?
So you ended up tipping out of your pocket.
I was so happy to get out of there.
$100.
And we had a picture. She had no idea. We're trying to tell her she won 50 grand. We never saw her again.
And she never tipped the dealer.
No, she just
You
walked
tipped
out.
the dealer.
I tipped the dealer.
And she'd walked away.
I went to my room, and I had a cold shower, and everybody went to dinner, right?
Yeah, and then she disappeared. We never saw her again. She didn't come for the one that won. Didn't come for dinner, and like that. And Dad said, Dad says, I got a splitting headache. He says, I got to go lay down.
I've never been so nervous in my life because if she loses the money and she doesn't know what's going on.
Oh, your name is Mud.
Yeah,
it's
I go to Vancouver, and I really like the city of Vancouver. Mm-hmm. I can see the headlines in the paper, Cherry loses 50 grand.
Yeah, that's about it.
And when she won, she had no idea she was still looking in her purse. I kid you not. She was looking, and I was supposed to go down there just be a rah-rah guy. You figure somebody in a contest would know what happened would happen probably.
Or look it up. Look it up to have an idea to not look so stupid.
Anyhow, so that was my betting, and I made her 50 grand. And
so when we have MyBookie as a sponsor here, they're very apropos that, what I mean?
Maybe someday we'll get into all your poker games on the buses.
Oh, some of the poker games. I was a pretty good contributor, but I mean, I won 2 out of 3. I would have won 3 out of 3, but I knew. But getting back to that game, getting back to hockey, is that it's goaltender. Remember, everybody knows. I mean, I'm not saying anything. Everybody knows it, but goaltending is so important. Take that Calgary game. Calgary outshot them. I mean, outshot them almost 2-1.
Yeah, Dallas. Yeah,
and they lose the game. So,
well, and in talking about goalies, that Jordan Binnington. That game in that last game was just.
I thought Allen. Not that I'm knocking Binnington because I don't want to jump on, but I mean, Allen had a great average and everything. I guess Berube, the coach, thought that Binnington Good win. He won the Memorial Cup, or he won the Stanley Cup with him. He's going to go. But
yeah. Well, you kind of did, a little bit the same lines when in the last season, the last series with Montreal. The first 2 games were with Cheevers.
Yeah.
And then you had to make a decision, and you put Gilbert in, right?
Yeah. I remember I took Blue for a walk, and I thought, holy smokes, Gilbert hadn't played in the playoffs. I don't think he played.
No,
I don't think he had
I think
played.
wasn't he supposed to play 1 game in the playoffs? And he got the hives and he couldn't play.
That was a funny. I got to tell that story. That was a funny story. So we're in. We went to. Well, they could go back and back.
It was in Pittsburgh.
It's in Pittsburgh. Someday I'll tell a story about Harry Carroll and all the players off the ice. That's a great story too. Oh, boy, I might as well tell it now. So we're having a morning skate we're against Pittsburgh, and it's 3 out of 5. It was 3 out of 5, eh? It was
Pittsburgh? I think it was 4 out of 7.
4 out of 7. So Frosty Forstall calls us off, said, Don, Harry wants to talk to the team. Well, 5 years, he's never talked to the team. I said, you're kidding. He says, no. He says, everybody off. Now, there was a guy named Jim Hamilton. I never forgot the guy's name. It was Jim Hamilton. During the season, he got a hat trick. So Harry didn't check it. He didn't check that Hamilton had been sent down, or he wasn't playing. He wasn't playing. So we all come in, and I can't believe that Harry never done this before.
And you and Harry were kind of at war.
Oh, we're at war at the time. This is my last year. So on the board, he's got all the lineups, and he liked to put the lineups down. And I never put the line. I never had the other team had to worry about us. I never. If you did it with the Montreal Canadiens, you would never ever enter this because they were so good. I mean, I'm not going into how good they were. Check it out. They was the greatest team of all time. Of all time in the National Hockey League. There was no team.
So you didn't want to put the lineup on because it was depressing.
If you put the lineup there, you'd be depressing. You'd never win. I remember when I was in Colorado, they were still pretty good, Montreal. And he started to, I said, well, there's no sense of us even going on the ice. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, I never had the other team. We were always the best, no matter what. And I think that year, Canadians had only lost 8 games all year, only 1 game at home. So getting there earlier. Pittsburgh's, he's got all the lineups of Pittsburgh. I mean, he's got Jim Hamilton down there. He should have never put Jim Hamilton down there. Should have checked it out a little better. So I'm sitting there with a toothpick, and he's going on and on and on and on about how great this team is and all this, and how we have to be up for. They had a good team, but not as good as us. And I never forgot he had Jim Hamilton, and one of the guys went to. But I figured, keep quiet. Let him go on about Jim Hamilton, how great he is, and he's in the minor leagues. So he went on and on and on. I keep, now that I'm telling the story, I might as well keep going. So the guys went to, after he left, the guys put up Pittsburgh 3, I think it was 3 out of 5. Anyhow, won't win a game, and went on and wrote all over it. I should have rubbed it off, but I never figured anybody would come back in the room, and the trainer would rub it off. And one of the guys, I won't say that, one of the spies came in and saw all the stuff written over, went up and told Harry about, he thought I wrote it on. Anyhow.
Well, I remember you were telling the story that Harry would kind of stop, and he was expecting for you to.
No, that was another time. He did one other time. And twice he did this, something this way. So we beat them 3 straight. And so then anyhow, this was the funny, Gilbert, we win the first 2 games. So, Gilbert, he was a sacrificial lamb. And we were going to put him in the 3rd game, and Cheevers was a sensational. So I told Cheevers he wasn't playing. I know he had a hot dog. Did
he have the hot dog after you told him he wasn't playing?
Or something, because he had a towel around his neck, that famous towel.
Yeah, the infamous towel. Yeah.
The famous towel. And the trainer come to me, and he says, Jilly can't play. I said, what do you mean Jilly can't play? Yeah, the warm-up. He says, go take a look at him. He was covered in hives. I never saw a guy in my life ever. He was all little red spots all around him. So I loved doing this. And I said, Cheevers, you're playing. What? And I said, "You're playing." "I'm not playing. You told me." I said, "Yeah, but go take a look at Chili Cap." It was the greatest game he ever, because they were really up. They wanted to win one game at home. And Cheevers just was fantastic. So
now he had a point to prove that he.
No, I know. He just felt like. I often wondered if I should have told him he was playing the night before, because he was terrific in this game. I think we had 52 shots against us. Anyhow, we beat them.
I remember his son all this time, because Jerry, when he used to sit on the bench, he'd have a white towel.
Yeah.
And his son, what was it, Robbie, says, "Dad, why do you always have that towel around your neck?"
Yeah. He said that in Team Canada.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I must tell about that someday.
Yeah, but just to get back, so how did, like, you're in the finals, you have to win or you're going to get fired, and so how did you make the decision? Like Berube decided to go back with Binnington, even though
he hadn't played.
Yeah, the other guy had won 2 games, was 2-1.
No, I wanted to win. I didn't care if it was. I didn't care if it was you, but I could see it's easy to second guess him. He thought that Binnington had won the Stanley Cup.
But how did you figure to play Gilly in Montreal? Like, why? Like, to come back with Gilbert?
Hunch. But first of all, I knew Gilly was on his last year of his contract, I think, and he was playing in Quebec. And he was French Canadian, and I knew if he doesn't do good, I can't tell you what if he does the bid. If he doesn't, it's me anyhow. I knew he was getting fired anyhow. But I remember I went for a long talk. I said, "Well, with Blue." I said, "Uh-oh." So that was never good. It never went over with Harry very good either. When I did as a joke one day. I said, "I'm going to play Cheevers tonight because Blue said to play Cheevers." He said it's a joke. So the reporters came in the next day. Well, who did Blue say tonight? Well, they said, "Well, Blue says," and I was just kidding.
Well, you're supposed to be talking it over with your manager, aren't you?
Yeah, with general
as
manager,
opposed to your dog.
But I knew he was getting fired anyhow.
So you gave Harry more of a reason to fire you.
Yeah,
like you kept
he didn't
fueling it.
He didn't really get fired me. Someday I'll do that. But I could see Berube. I could see him doing it. That Binnington had brought us and he was terrific for the Stanley Cup. But I don't know. Allen he had a good average, and he played too good against those games. I would have played Allen, and I know.
But I mean, the reality is, though, that was against Vancouver. Markstrom was the difference.
Oh,
switch the goalies, and it's 4 straight for
Markstrom is unbelievable, and if he keeps it up, I mean, they're outshot almost every game. I shouldn't say that, but they talk about all the guys, Peterson and Horvat, all those guys are good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking them. And Dallas Green is doing a great job and everything. But Markstrom is the guy. The goaltender for Vancouver is fantastic.
Yep, and he's in the last year of his contract.
And he's in his last year of his contract.
That always seems to be a good motivation, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's making $3.5 million. So I'd be careful signing him for a long-term contract. But it always happens when a goaltender is hungry. And Washington, look at Washington. The same thing is what Holtby gets a long-term. I'm not knocking Holtby. He played pretty good, but
boy, did they ever play bad though. That last game, that was embarrassing.
Here's a team that went to the finals through motion, jumping. You could see their jump, and the team that's got the jump right now is the Islanders. Now I don't know if they got enough. They don't have anybody in the top 10 of the scoring, or
no.
Yeah, and I loved what Barry Trotz, who he had on the ice at the very end, Martin and what's that? Komarov, yeah. He had them, and if you want to have any trouble.
Yeah, funny that he had Lou Lamoriello leaves Toronto. He takes 2 guys. He took Komarov and Martin, the 2 toughest guys, or disturbers, and then on the last shift, they were on the ice in case Washington.
Now, not to jump on Toronto. But how about Kadri?
Oh, yeah.
What's he got, 6 goals?
6 goals. He leads the NHL right now in game-winning goals, 3 game-winning goals.
And he plays with an edge. Like look, I'm not saying that he shouldn't have traded him. I wouldn't have traded him. I would have talked to him. So, look, you can't get suspended two years in a row and put us in the hole. I mean, he was ready to settle down. And I know he didn't want to leave Toronto because he comes from Toronto. He's the only guy outside of Gilmore that I kissed. Remember that time
Yeah, you kissed him, and I think you had Martin and Colton Orr
and the guy that get hit with the puck, the McCabe or something. Remember
Get hit
in the head, and he was never the same after that. But anyhow, talk about a guy. It looks like he's trying to prove something. His cadre.
Yeah.
I mean, he is really something.
Well, the thing is, when we were talking, Dad, you said Toronto made him a checker.
Yeah, they had him on the third line. He was their checker. I mean, here he is leading I've never seen a first round guy treated as bad as he is.
Oh, yeah, he was.
When he went into the training camp
in his rookie
18,
year.
yeah, and he's only 18, I think he was.
Yeah.
He led the team in scoring. He had 3 goals and 6 points, and he was the highest plus. And they said he didn't know how to play in his own end. He was the highest plus.
But
Plus
not
6.
only they say that, they kind of mocked him.
And then they said, I think the one thing he said, cadre achieves
A lot of scoring chances.
Yeah, a lot of scoring chances at our end and their end, and I think, and I couldn't believe it.
Like for an 18-year-old kid to hear that.
I mean, I don't understand it. They didn't like him from the start.
And
they
then,
must have liked him. They drafted him.
And then a thing that I think that was really unfair was Wilson said, "Go back to junior and dominate junior, then we'll see what happens." But you go back to junior. I mean, like that. I think
Nobody dominates.
Nobody dominates
But very
junior,
few.
like, except for McDavid or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I think that shows that Wilson didn't know about CHL. He's an American, right? Doesn't know what was going on. And another thing too, that I think that because the Leafs were so soft.
Yeah.
And they didn't hit. He felt like he had to do that.
Yeah.
And you look at Colorado, like the end of the one game, Landeskog, the captain, and McKinnon dropped the gloves and were getting into a fight. So
and their number 1 star.
So he doesn't feel like he has to do that stuff.
No, and I still think he's a good hockey player. I thought he was a good hockey player when he was 18 years old, and he played under Dale Hunter. So he's got to be pretty good. And if you lasted Dale Hunter, you know how to play the game. And he was the highest plus of the team, and they said he wasn't good in his own end. Figure that one out.
No, they didn't treat him very good.
It's easy to pick on the Leafs right now, but seeing we're on the Leafs right now, they have to get tougher, and Clifford can't do it all by himself. They got Clifford. They should have 2 more guys like him.
But Clifford didn't even play in the playoffs. He barely played.
Well, he played the one game. He had 1 great hit.
He had 1 hit, but he didn't play many shifts after that.
Well, how can you? The other guys are playing. Anyhow, not to get on the Leafs. And that's my story of Montreal. And I keep going off on tangents and everything.
So you just want to let's get your opinion. Who's going to win the series?
Which one?
Okay, well, you go Dallas, Colorado.
Dallas is up.
This is Sunday. We're taking.
I still say Colorado's going to come back.
Yeah.
I can't believe Jamie Benn. Is he playing good for Dallas? Did he make a right pass to rattle off or what? I mean, if you people ever want, young people want to know how hockey players played a long time ago, big boy hockey, as they said, just look at Jamie Benn. He is an old-time hockey player, boy, and he's a leader.
Well, and he kind of took care of Tkachuk.
No, I don't want to say that. Chuck kind of hurt. He was kind of hurt.
Yeah, but Ben hurt him. And but the one thing that might be tough for, we don't know how hurt he is the Grubauer's hurt. The goalie for Colorado.
Pulled his groin. I saw last night he pulled his groin, or the other night he pulled his groin. And
should I tell about where he's from Germany, right?
Oh yeah, tell that story.
So he's from Germany, Cindy Grubauer, the goalie for Colorado.
I like Germans.
And he at the start of the playoff, the next round, he was leading the NHL with a 149 save average, and he learned how to play hockey watching Rock'em Sock'em.
Oh, there you go.
Rock'em
well,
Sock'em.
you used to play up the goalies pretty good in Rock'em
Yeah,
Sock'em.
I used to have goalies making saves.
So here's a couple of clips. This was from an article a while ago. I watched Don Cherry's videos, and I always jumped on my bed trying to make the saves of Felix Potvin and Mike Richter when they still played. I said I wanted to be there. That's all we had in Germany. We couldn't watch games, so my dad bought the Don Cherry videos on tape, not the CDs.
So that was a while ago when he was watching it on VHS, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And you taught them how to embellish the saves, to put your arm up and all. You always have to embellish.
Well, to tell you the truth, the young goaltenders of the day, when I had that, how long we do it?
30 years we did it.
30 years. They used to put that tape on I guess you had it that you could go to the goalies, eh?
Right. Yeah. When you get the CDs, you could go right to or DVDs, you go right to the goalies.
And young goaltenders used to go right and see all the saves, and then they go to the game, and they get pumped.
Yep, I could see that.
Yeah. So that was good. So you're still, and then you have the Boston and Tampa. How do you think of that?
Well, I have to. I mean, this is a tough one on me. I picked Tampa to win the Stanley Cup, and it's against Boston. No, I'm
so that's your heart, and your is that
I'm
your
still
heart?
picking Boston, but don't bet the farm on it, okay?
Okay, and then the Flyers and Islanders.
Islanders will win that game.
Yeah,
yeah, Islanders. But I picked.
And then one more: Vegas and Vancouver.
This is going to be tough. I can't. I like the goaltender and everything, but I can't see them beating that Vegas club. That Vegas club has got two good goalies. They could play every other game.
Yeah,
Fleury and Ledner. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yep.
Unbelievable. That's a tough one. But I'm not going against a Canadian team. I'll still take Vancouver to win. I hope they win, but don't bet the farm on it, okay?
So when you say don't bet the farm, that means your heart is
I'm saying don't bet the farm on it. Just don't bet a lot of money on it, that's all. But I'm still picking them.
So do we want to end up talking about the toughest team?
Oh, yeah.
The meanest team. Well, you always said the meanest team you ever played for.
The meanest team I ever played for was Spokane Commons. I could tell you a lot of stories, but I'll just say the meanest club. That Sandy Huckle was that played for that team. He had over 100 minutes. I think he had over 100 minutes, and he only played 60-some games.
What league would this been?
This is the Western Hockey League. Now, you got to remember, these guys would be all in the National Hockey League.
That's right
now. I'm not going over it again. There was the American League. There was the Central League. There was only 6 teams in, and there was the Western League and the National Hockey League. That's 24 now, and I think there's 31 in the league right now. So all these guys would be in the National Hockey League. And I remember Sandy Huckle, boy, was he a tough guy.
What was his nickname?
Oh, Stoneface Huckle. Yeah, he'd hit guys and hurt guys, and he never changed expression. Yeah, Stoneface. And he was a tough guy. And he turned religious at the end. I think he's sort of helping everything. But boy, at the time, he never said much. And then there was Bill. Now get this one, the Destroyer Chavetz. Now I told you the story about he hit a guy, he played for Cleveland, he hit a guy, Orville Tessier. Did I tell you that? I must have told that story, but I'll tell it again. And at the end of the first period, Orville's taking all his equipment off. Punch Imlach was the coach. He's taking all his equipment off. So we thought it was one of those guys, once in a while you see a guy take all his equipment off, then put it back on again. So he's taking off all his equipment, and Punch Imlach comes in and says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Oh, I'm not playing in this league."
In this league?
In this league. And this is the very, very first game
Was
against
the American League?
American League.
Yeah.
And Punch says, "Well, what do you mean you're not playing?" No, he says, "I'm going back to Quebec League." He says, "No, you can't." No, he says, "I'm not playing in this league, not with a goose like that around." And, did he ever hit him? Remember, he drove him into the boards. Bill Chavetz, boy, was he a tough guy. And I was a baby face. But Connie Mad Dog Madigan, let me tell you something, boys. And him and Larry Zeidel were both the same. I think he played in that movie. What was that movie?
Connie Madigan, he was Slapshot. At the end, when they brought back all the tough guys, and he was the guy they called Mad Dog Madison.
And I listen, I could tell you more stories. I could go on and take too long. But I'll tell you one story about him and John Ferguson. John Ferguson was the guy that Sammy Pollock brought to because everybody was picking on John Beliveau. He brought to, I remember he played for Cleveland, John Ferguson. Everybody plays for Cleveland. And he bought him. I don't know how he got him there, but he got him there, and he was the enforcer. And he was tough, John Ferguson. I could tell you a lot of stories about him maybe someday. But he was a tough guy, boy. Nobody fooled with him. You'd near him, he'd jump at you with a stick, and he was murder. So anyhow, the story I loved that I heard about, that him and Connie Madigan used to be golf guys, used to golf once another. And they're in Port Arthur. I think it's called Thunder Bay now. Anyhow, they're golf, And Connie went over and stepped on his ball and drove it in the ground. And they had a fist fight. Oh, boy.
There's a lot of stories you can tell about Connie. And he was in his 80s and he was working up in the oil sands.
He was working up in the oil sands. I talked to him. He was in the oil sands. He was still a pipeline guy. And he was telling me about a guy that reached underneath and the pipe fell on him. And that was the end of him. And he was in his 80s. He was working on the pipeline. And you
got to tell the one story. Well, there's a lot of stories you could tell. But you got to tell the one story about you guys were in the bar all by yourself.
I don't. I guess I better. I guess
Sandy, he'd like that.
Connie kind of like
or
this.
Connie would like it.
Yeah,
it's a red badge of courage, right?
All right, this is the last story, and then we got
another bar story. It's a bar story.
I'm sitting in the bar. Steve Woodiuk. He was one of the owners on the. I used to talk about him. So Steve Woodiuk bar. It was. I forget what it was called now. It was Steve Woodiuk's, I guess. So Steve's Smoke Shop. That's what it was. So I'm sitting there, and I remember the guy behind the bar was a young guy, Bill Ryan, I think it was his name. And Connie and I are having a beer.
And you're the only guys in the bar.
We're at a long bar, and I mean a long bar. And we're the only guy in the bar, and we're having it. And Connie finishes his draft and goes to the washroom. So there's nobody sitting. I'm sitting by myself in the middle, all by myself. So this guy, big guy, came in and sat down beside me.
Beside you.
He's sitting beside me.
So much for social distancing.
Yeah. Did you say he was an MP?
He was an MP. They had the Westover flying something.
Yeah, he was military police.
Yeah, he's military police, MP, big guy. Eh?
Yeah, it must be big.
So he sits beside me. And hi, how you doing? How you doing? And he used to go to the game. Connie comes in, he says, that's my seat. The guy says, well, you sit on the other side. He says, no, you sit on the other side. That's my seat. Guy said, well, I'm not moving. You better move. And they had a fight. I'm sitting there having it. They had a fight. You've seen Tom Mix and the, tables being flipped, go underneath and tables flipped and chairs. And I mean, it was like something of a movie. And the guy, Bill Ryan, he's terrified behind. And I'm sitting there. I can't believe it. I've never seen anything like it. Tables being flipped. Finally, he gets Connie down, and he's got him by the arm. He's
sitting on top of him on the floor.
Yeah, he's laying on top of him.
Yeah.
And Connie, by this time, has really gone bananas. He's so mad. And he says, you better kill me. He says, because when you let me up, I'm killing you. And the guy looks at me, and he says, what are we going to do? What am I going to do? And I said, I know the police is coming. Somebody's got to look in and see this. I know Bill Ryan wouldn't fool the police. So I get on, and I grab Connie's one arm, and the guy slides off, and I get on him and hold him. I said, now, Connie, I says, hold, because if you don't, I said, the police will come, we're all going to get arrested. And the guy runs out of the room. Big guy, he runs out of the room. I never saw him again. So Connie struggled, and we get up, I swear this is the truth. I get him against the wall, and I got a death grip on him, believe me.
And now what do you do?
No, what am I going to do? And so I knew he was going to knee me in the groin. I just knew. And sure enough, I crossed my legs, and he did. He kneed me, or I went down. I would have went down like a ton of bricks. I said, look, Scotty, he's okay. And the tears are rolling down. He's so mad. He's okay, Grapes. You're a friend of mine. And he says, if you ever, look, I got a hold. I got a hold. If you ever interfere in a fight I'm in again, he says, I will kill you. And you know what? I think he would have. So I let him go. And the next day in practice, you should have seen the bruises on his arm where we had a death grip on him. But that's Connie Madigan, boy.
And he was, I don't know if he still holds the record, as the oldest rookie.
Yeah, he was the oldest rookie for St. Louis.
38.
Guy got hurt. I forget. Oh, Doug Harvey got hurt. Somebody got hurt. And they needed a guy, and he was an all-star. He was, how many years? He was all-star in a row. So they brought him up, and he was the oldest rookie at 38. And I'll tell more stories about Connie.
Yeah, just one other thing about that. I remember Mom saying that, normally for practice, you'd have a cup of coffee and maybe a piece of toast, and away you go. When you were with Spokane, you had like bacon and eggs, and coffee and pancakes. And Mom,
I remember Mom. I remember Rose saying, geez, why are you so nervous? You seem to be more nervous for the practices than you do the game. I said, if you ever saw one of our practices, you'd understand why. It was like the two Irishmen against the two Polacks, Huckle and Chevettes. And I'll tell you one thing, boy, You didn't fool around on those practices, and the coach, he never said anything. He just let it go.
Great. Well, thanks everybody for listening. And once again, we want to thank mybookie.ag, and their terms are this: you bet, you win, they pay. And I always like to say, put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, and
you did pretty good last week.
I did pretty good last night. I won this, man. But I always bet on the Canadian teams. I always bet on Boston. It was tough for me to pick Boston over Tampa because I picked Tampa to win the Stanley Cup. Anyhow, that's it for tonight, and I hope you had a good time, and I hope you enjoyed the stories.